When I came home after being away for a few months, I found out that the house I grew up in, the one filled with my childhood memories, was being sold. You told me I could do whatever I wanted, so I did, I thought. But if anyone has to take responsibility for this mess, it should be you. After all, it's your house, right? This wasn't just about money, it was my revenge, because they constantly looked down on me for being poor. My husband, Ken, and my mother-in-law, Lisa, sold the house behind my back while I was gone. They even broke a contract on purpose and laughed at me for having to pay the penalties since I technically owned the house. They didn't care about how their actions hurt me or my parents, who entrusted this house to us. I'll never forgive them for what they've done. Ken and I have been married for 10 years. We've known each other since we were kids and started dating young. I come from a well-off family, my parents own a business, and I've lived a comfortable life. Ken, on the other hand, grew up in a single-parent household and didn't have much money. Despite that, my parents and I loved Ken for his kind personality, and they even treated him like their own son. When my parents decided to retire, they moved into another house my father owned and let Ken and me live in their old house. They wanted to help us as much as they could. My father even planned to transfer the house's ownership to me. He told me, "We'll finalize the paperwork soon, and after that, you can do whatever you like with the house. Maybe you can sell it and use the money to move into a new place someday." The house was in great shape, but it was too big for Ken and me since we'd decided not to have children. I was grateful for my parents' generosity, and I slowly started preparing to sell the house, working with a real estate agent. But Ken wasn't supportive. "Ken, I told you to fill out this form. I need to submit it today," I reminded him. "Just do it yourself. You're always nagging me. It's not a big deal," he snapped. I couldn't help but think, where did the kind and thoughtful Ken I married go? Since we got married, Ken had become lazier, leaving me to handle everything. He even made me fill out important documents for him, and if I refused, it would cause problems. So, to keep the peace, I always gave in and did it myself. Maybe he kept treating me this way because I let him. We had decided to sell the house and had even picked a new one to move into, but as I dealt with Ken's growing laziness and disrespect, I started to wonder if staying married to him was the right choice. One day, I got a call saying my parents had been in a serious car accident. I rushed to the hospital to see them. Thankfully, they survived, but their injuries were severe. The doctors said they'd need about 6 months to recover, and someone would have to take care of them for at least 3 months. I'll ask Ken, I thought. I also decided to talk to my workplace about adjusting my schedule. "I'll be there to take care of you both," I promised my parents. When I asked my husband, Ken, if I could stay with my parents for an extended period to help them, he easily agreed. "It's okay, it's your thing," he said, but the way he said it felt indifferent, like he didn't care about my parents at all. Still, with his permission, I was free to focus on supporting them. But then another worry popped into my mind. Could Ken take care of himself while I was gone? He's completely hopeless when it comes to house chores. He might manage to feed himself, but washing clothes or remembering to take out the trash, forget it. I didn't want to come back to a house that looked like a garbage dump, so I decided to ask my mother-in-law, Lisa, for help. "Please take care of Ken while I'm gone," I said. "Feel free to use the house however you like." Lisa replied with a smile, but her words were sharp. "Oh dear, you're going through so much, Mary, but don't your parents have enough money to hire someone to help them? Or do you just miss them too much?" She continued, "Don't worry about Ken. I'll take good care of my son. Stay as long as you want." Lisa adores Ken and probably sees me as the woman who stole her son from her. Her sarcastic remarks made me uncomfortable, but I had no choice but to rely on her. I thanked her politely, swallowing my frustration. I packed only what I needed and rushed to my parents' home to take care of them. The days were so busy that 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. I barely stayed in touch with Ken during that time, but it was all worth it because my parents were recovering well. When things finally settled down, I was ready to return home. I got in the car and drove back, excited to be home again, but when I arrived, I couldn't believe my eyes. A for sale sign was posted in front of the house, and the real estate agency listed on the sign was one I didn't recognize. "What's going on?" I whispered in shock. I immediately called Ken, hoping for an explanation. On the other end of the line, Ken chuckled as if mocking me. "I sold the house and moved back to my parents' place. I did everything for you while you were gone. he said casually. I couldn't make sense of what he was saying, so I drove straight to my in-laws' house, which was just a few minutes away. When I arrived, I was stunned to see my personal belongings piled up outside by the door. As I stood there confused, a contractor came up, grabbed the pile of my belongings, and loaded them into a truck. Ken and Lisa were standing nearby, smiling and counting money they'd received from the contractor. They looked different, dressed in fancy clothes and driving a luxury car. "What's going on?" I demanded, my voice shaking. Lisa smirked and said, "I got rid of all your useless junk from that house. You grew up spoiled, so it's no surprise you don't know how to take care of your things." Then, with a cruel smile, she added, "You're such an unfit wife, leaving your husband alone for months just to take care of your parents. I told Ken he should divorce someone like you." Her words hit me like a slap. Ken chimed in, "That house was in your name, so I sold it. Consider it compensation for everything you've done to me. You told me I could do whatever I wanted, so I did." Lisa showed me the paperwork for the sale, grinning smugly as she explained. The contract was dated about a month ago, even though the house was already supposed to be listed with another real estate agency. "You can't do this without my permission. That's my house. Any sale without my signature is invalid, and now you've breached the contract. We'll have to pay compensation," I yelled, panicking. Lisa shrugged and said, "Not my problem. If there's a penalty to pay, that's on you. It's your house, after all." It was clear Lisa believed Ken's version of the story, where he painted himself as the victim. Desperate, I turned to Ken, hoping he'd see reason. But he just smirked, echoing Lisa's attitude. "Finally, I've gotten my revenge," Ken said coldly. "You and your family have looked down on me for being poor my whole life. I've always felt like an outsider, and now I've evened the score. If being poor is such a joke to you, let me show you what money can really do. I refuse to let you live the good life alone. Go to hell." Ken spewed his bitterness at me and tossed divorce papers in my direction, already signed on his end, waiting only for my signature. I could have had Mom handle the filing, but that wouldn't have been nearly as satisfying. This way, it's a perfect twist, don't you think? The spoiled rich girl who mocked the poor finally gets knocked down. What will you do now, with no mommy or daddy to save you? Ken and Lisa were practically glowing with excitement, proud of their scheme. But instead of getting angry, I felt calm. They were digging their own graves, and they didn't even realize it. "Sorry to interrupt your little celebration," I said, "but I've got some news for you. This house isn't mine. You're the ones going to hell." "What?" I pulled a document from my bag and handed it to them. "This is the official property registry. As of last week, the house is in Ken's name. The ownership transfer was delayed because of my parents' accident, but it's done now, and since you both agreed to sell the house, well, the consequences are on you." Ken's face went pale as he stared at the document, and Lisa's smugness vanished in an instant. "You don't remember, Ken, but I even double-checked with you to make sure it was okay. My parents trusted you and Lisa. They wanted to show their appreciation for all you've done by giving you the house. They believed you would take care of me, but instead, you betrayed their trust and disrespected their generosity." Both of them froze, trembling as the reality of what they had done sank in. "This isn't just about the house anymore. It's a legal nightmare. Both real estate agencies will be involved in this mess. I'll reach out to the agency I originally signed with, and you can deal with the one you worked with. I can't believe they even accepted your fake story." I took a deep breath and added, "This isn't about money, it's about character. You've shown me what it means to be truly poor in spirit." With that, I pulled out my phone and prepared to call the real estate agency. "Wait," Ken suddenly panicked. "This isn't what I wanted. I was just upset because you left me. Let's talk this through, as a married couple." "Oh, I know. Why don't we just buy back the house that's on the market now? You can call the old real estate agency and pretend none of this happened. You're rich, so you can do that, right? Please?" Ken, panicking, clung to me, desperately trying to fix things. "This whole thing happened because of my mother." Lisa, furious at her son's sudden change in loyalty, snapped, "Hey, Ken, are you betraying me now? I did everything for you. How could you abandon your own mother to take her side? What kind of heartless son are you?" I smirked and replied, "Oh, didn't you say earlier that it's scummy to put parents first, Lisa? So now you should be thrilled Ken isn't scum, right? You should call him a fine son." Lisa's face fell, her words coming back to haunt her, leaving her speechless. Ken, on the other hand, switched sides entirely, pleading with me. You're the most important person to me now, Mary. I promise I'll change my ways and do better. I stared at him coldly. Who said anything about forgiving you? Ken reached for my hand, but I quickly pulled away. Ken, I've been fed up with your laziness for a long time, and when things go wrong, you always blame someone else and expect others to clean up your mess. How can I trust you to change? Let me be clear, I'm not your secretary or your servant. You're an adult, and it's time you take responsibility for your actions. You and Lisa will pay for what you've done, and you'll deal with the consequences for the rest of your lives. With that, I grabbed the divorce papers, signed them on the spot, and walked out, leaving both Ken and Lisa stunned. After some complications, my divorce from Ken was finalized. Ken and Lisa tried to sue my family, claiming they were tricked and demanding compensation, but, as expected, they lost in court. Now, they're being held responsible for significant compensation to both real estate agencies because of their malicious actions. On top of that, they've turned on each other, blaming one another for the disaster they created. It seems they'll be stuck in this mess for a very long time. My company arranged for me to work remotely, so I can continue supporting my parents as they recover from their accident. I'm back at my parents' house, helping them with their rehabilitation. Honey, your bath is ready. Thank you, I'll wash the dishes, so you go ahead and get in first. You must be tired from rehab. Well, you should relax and get in first, Mary. I'll clean the bathtub later. My parents are still recovering, but they continue to support each other and enjoy their time together. Living with them again, I'm reminded of their warmth and the strong bond they share. Watching them, I realized what was missing in my marriage with Ken: respect and care for each other. I know there were things I could have done better, but looking back, I don't think Ken or Lisa ever treated me with that kind of kindness. At first, I was sad and frustrated about the divorce, but now I know it was the right decision. If I meet someone again in the future, I'll be more careful. I never want to worry my parents again. I've learned a lot from everything with Ken and Lisa, and I'll carry those lessons forward in my life, and I'll always be grateful for my parents' love and support as I start a new chapter.